Hi there. So it's been a while since I've done any YouTubing. It's just not really something that's been important to me lately. But I wanted to share a uh, some thoughts that I had um, after a conversation that I had the other day. So uh, basically, my thought process is that I've recognized that there are people in my life who um, the only reason that the only purpose that communication serves for them is to basically try to convince me to uh, be on their side. And I presume they project that onto me as well. They think that all I want to do when I talk to them is try to change them to think the way that I do. And really, I may have been in that place at some point in my life in the past, maybe not even that long ago, but I'm just not really there. Um, I'm in kind of more of a collaborative place. I do have a pretty intense personality when it comes to communication. I'm very verbose in my communication, and I think some people can misread that as not being interested in what they have to say. But the flip side of that is I'm not really interested in being converted or changed dramatically by somebody else in a direct, aggressive sort of way. Like, my thoughts and opinions are what they are. And, they change over time, mostly in a more opening way. I'm mostly open up over time. I don't really close off. I know the common thing with the generation after mine, I think they've become so hopeless that a lot of them that they have become more closed-minded, which is a really weird thing to see that a younger generation is actually becoming more closed-minded, um, and more religious, more conservative, whatever. Uh, that seems to be the direction that things have been going in a lot of spheres, which is really strange to me, because I think no matter how screwy things are, being closed-minded is only going to make it worse. And so, you need an open mind to be able to see as many potential angles to solve problems as possible. I think the moment that you give up on solving problems is when you become closed-minded. And that's really, I mean, basically, that's how I see these attempts to convert me. Like, when somebody exists in my life solely to try and convince me that their belief system is the only right belief system, that just kind of proves to me that they've lost hope. It proves to me that they don't have any like hope in this experiment of humanity actually being successful, or that we can solve problems together, or that we can collaborate. And I mean, what bigger turnoff, what bigger way to make shut someone down and make them not want to talk to you than trying to convince them, that things are hopeless and that you should just move over to their side and give up. That's basically how it gets read to me. Um, things can be bad, but I think that everything is a problem we can solve potentially. Um, or we can rest and we can, help each other heal. I don't think that that third thing of regressing and going backwards and trying to just um, put things back the way they were, quote unquote, or whatever that thought process is. I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think it ever really will be. I think that's kind of that's a cop out. That's giving up. That's saying, what, I don't want to solve these problems. I don't want things to get better. I just want to be comfortable. And I don't really believe in that form of comfort. I think, unconditional love, helping people, feeding people, being emotionally supportive. I believe in those type of comforts, but and just a soft surface to lay your head on, and just relax. Um, you know, that in compassion, that kind of stuff, that kind of soft, that kind of comfort, I totally believe in. But the kind of comfort that's like, well, I want to go back to the way things were when I was happy and comfortable, or when it was better than it is now, quote unquote, or nostalgia, it's a lie. I mean, it doesn't. Nostalgia is basically trying to convince you to go to a place that doesn't exist, right? And so I think the only way that we can go is forward, regardless of what forward looks like, regardless if we're, a bunch of gremlins going forward, it doesn't really matter. All we can do is go forward. So I'm just not into that regressive sort of thinking. And so when someone demonstrates that to me, it really turns me off. It really makes me just completely disinterested in them as a person. And I stop kind of hearing what they have to say, because to me they don't have anything to say. They just, usually it all kind of sounds the same, whether it's, being saved by Jesus, or whether it's, believing in traditional whatevers. All of that stuff basically has the same ring to it to me, and it's this failure has occurred, I'm giving up. That's what it basically says to me. It says there's no hope in going forward, so I'm gonna retreat to what's comfortable, back there. It's nostalgia, wearing, various masks, and I'm just not there. I hope I am not ever there. I think if I was there, I would want to watch this video and remind myself that my brain is probably rotting in my head, because, but what provoked this is that there are people in my life that every conversation they have to bring up their beliefs, or they have to try and get like little jabs in. And over time, I have done that in the past. I've been that person because that's what I grew up in. But over time, I've tried to kind of change the way that I approach things to be more like accommodating of where people are at, and trying, my main objective in most conversations, unless I get like triggered or something, or like in a trauma state, is to just open minds. Like, I just want you to think that there might be more perspectives than just yours. It's not that you have to agree with mine, and not that I'm not going to ever agree with any part of yours. That, at least this is not what how I'm trying to approach things. Just that maybe there's more than just your perspective. Maybe your truth is not the only truth. That's generally all I've tried to convey to people who come at things like this. And it just seems like no matter what, once people get into that state where they think they know what the truth is, it's very hard to break them out of it. And ego plays into it, whether people believe it or not. They think it's spiritual, or they think it's traditional, but it's really mostly based in ego. Sorry, my voice is barely there because of the smoke. But yeah, it's kind of, it's like watching the ego lash out when, when somebody does that. And it really hurts the worst when I'll have what kind of seems like a halfway okay, not too bad conversation that maybe is a little abrasive, but not too bad. And then they tie it with a nice little bow of, here's my belief system in your face. And, the whole time I'm just sitting there like, in a neutral way, sharing my opinions, trying not to share a belief system with them, trying not to push that specifically, because I think that's kind of like inappropriate. And then they conclude the conversation with their ego and with their beliefs. It's just offensive. It's like, why would you do that? Do you, and those people, I mean, if any of you are out there watching, you're driving me away. That's, eventually I'm just going to completely cut you off and stop talking to you. Nothing is worth being made to feel as though the only value that I have is as someone who's converted. um, you know, you don't understand how negative the impact of that is, to always feel like the person you're talking to only values you as a person they can convert, only loves you as a person they might be able to convert, and nothing makes it less likely to happen than doing that. You know, when every conversation is concluded with, well, you should go to church, or every conversation is concluded with, well, here's some little jab about how you're a bad person because if you do this thing my beliefs don't agree with, and that's your conclusion, you think that, like, I think the rest of the conversation was positive now? I'm like, okay, now, so the whole conversation was leading up to this insult, you know, this jab. Why would you do that? You know, that's the most, if you're really trying to convert me, that's the most inappropriate way to go about it. And you won't ever. I mean, you're never going to change what I think, because you've already created this big wall of trauma, that's, you know, you don't think I'm anything without your beliefs, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. And people will call this a belief system. I don't think that that strong-willed open-mindedness can really be classed as a belief system. I think belief systems are an inherently closed thing. They're, well, I don't understand this, so we're going to wrap it back into the belief system. I don't like this, so I'm going to wrap it back into the belief system. It's kind of a way of, like, suppressing reality so that you're comfortable. And I mean, that is beneficial to, like, certain people who maybe need that to survive, but I think if you don't need that to survive, you quickly find that it's just not useful to you. Like, it serves no purpose. It doesn't do anything for you. It slows you down. It's like carrying a boulder around everywhere you go, you know? So when you see people trying to, you know, reel you back in, and I think that's what a lot of us are seeing in some certain situations in the world right now, is that it's basically like, you're really gonna try to, like, force this down our throats. You're gonna, like, try to force us to believe in what you believe in with, like, the government and the law. Like, that's the extent to which your belief system is falling apart, that you have to force it on people with violence, with threat of prison or deportation or whatever. You know, that's the point at which it really makes you wonder, like, how serious should I take these people? Because they literally are so afraid that I might believe something other than them that they're willing to kill me over it, you know? And it's basically, that's the end. We've now cut off all chance of communication. We've now cut off all chance of us ever seeing eye to eye. That's it. Done. And, you know, you're doing it to yourselves. We didn't do it to you. We just wanted to have a chance to be who we want to be, you know? If girls can paint their nails purple and sparkly and pretty, and paint everything they own purple, purple is my favorite color. Why can't I do that too? Why is that so offensive? I'm a homesteader. I'm a gardener. I farm. I work very hard. I've got a ruined back to prove it. Like, I've worked extremely hard in my life. I've done all the manly things. I am, you know, very straight. I wish I was gay. It would be so much easier if I was gay. In that, I'm sorry, I don't mean it that way. Like, my identity would probably work better as a gay person, but unfortunately that's not me, and I'm also, you know, the rugged individualist, whatever bullshit. You know, why can't I paint my nails purple? Why can't I have a purple guitar? Why can't I snuggle with my animals? Why can't I send cute love letters? What's wrong with any of that? You know, what's wrong with me having that freedom? I've already met all your other criteria for being a man. Why can't I just be me, you know? And I think that, you know, there's just so many of us have so much trauma around how the world has tried to force us to operate, and we know we don't have to do that. We see successful people that don't do it. Why are you going to try and drag us back into the fucking Stone Ages and keep us from it? Let us be comfortable and happy. We don't have to believe what you believe. You can do that all day. And you know what? If you think I'm going to hell, go right ahead and think that. But that's not love. You think that's love? You think believing I'm going to hell if I don't believe what you believe is love? That's arrogance. It's just arrogance and hubris wearing fancy clothes. That's all it is. They're not even that fancy. They're kind of dingy clothes, to be honest. It's a pretty old story. So, you don't know. And I think wasting an entire lifetime of relationships on what you believe to be true, and throwing all that away on a hunch, what's essentially just a hunch, and has no proof, has no evidence. I don't want to even go there, because that's just going to cause you to close up and you're going to retreat to your beliefs. That's the thing. I don't want to go there anymore. And I don't go there with you, so why go there with me? So that's when I'm starting to just 86 people from my life. I'm starting to say, nope, you're not part of my life anymore because you're trying to force that on me. I'm not doing that to you. That's not fair to me. That's arrogant. It's, prideful. It's hateful. That's hate. I mean, because you're trying to destroy what I am and turn it and reshape it into what you want it to be. That's hate. That's all it is. You don't understand what hate is, but that's what hate is trying to destroy someone. And that's what trying to convert them is. I already have my system of spirituality that I'm perfectly happy with. Why try to change it? You may not see this as happiness. This is merely communication of a grievance. I'm not unhappy. I love what I'm doing with my life more than ever. And I'm very happy to be going in the direction I'm going. So why try to change me? You're going to try to change me so I'm unhappy, so I think I'm evil and bad and wrong? Let me live my fucking life. Give me a fucking break. Come on. Like, seriously?